Hey everybody, Roha360, hashtag Roha360. I haven't vlogged in a while, and I really just was heavy on my heart to come to you. So first of all, I still don't know what this vlog is about. I'm not trying to make money at this. This is me spilling my guts, trying to help other people with my life experiences. So today I'm going to talk to you about domestic violence, and I want to start out by saying any woman out there who is in a violent situation or going through a domestic violence situation or something that I'm going to talk about, feel free to email me, roha360@gmail.com, and I will help you. I am your champion. I recently just filed a domestic violence restraining order after a systematic 16-year abusive relationship. And that is the first thing that I want to talk about. I came out publicly on my personal Facebook page about abuse, and I had a lot of people attack me saying, how are you going to badmouth your husband? What about when your kids see this? They're going to think bad about their dad. Stop. They saw their dad's behavior. They're not going to think bad about their dad because of something that I said. They're going to think bad about their dad because of his behavior. Do you think they didn't already see it? Of course they did. At this point, my job is to show them that a strong woman gets out of a domestic violence situation, thrives, and does better, and does not tolerate abuse. The fact of the matter is that they've already witnessed far too much abuse, and the cycle might repeat itself, and they very well may end up in a domestic violence situation. And my hope is that they remember that, and they remember how strong I was, and that I was able to come through it and do what needed to be done to end it. Secondly, people are worried about, well, what if your friends' kids see it on and they say something to your kids and your kids embarrassed? Stop. Okay, seriously? I'm not raising weak little girls that are going to care what people think. First of all, we need to stop shaming domestic violence victims. That's the first problem we have here. If other people find out and my kids have to speak out about it, maybe that child will feel comfortable to go to my child and say, hey, I have a domestic violence situation at my house. And maybe that'll get mandated, reported, and maybe it will end the cycle. We need to stop being embarrassed about it. If you want to talk about women's rights is domestic violence is the one place that we allow women to be abused. We make them feel ashamed for speaking about it. We make them feel ashamed when they come out. We make them feel ashamed for why didn't you do something sooner? And I know most of you can't understand. Why didn't they do something sooner? They were afraid. Most people in these situations, it's not just the physical abuse, it's the mental and emotional abuse. Love is the strongest emotion that a person can feel. And when you deeply love someone, you don't know what to do. You don't want to hurt them. And I lied to myself and said I was staying in this abusive relationship because I didn't want to tear up my family. I didn't want it to hurt my kids. Until my 11-year-old daughter came to me begging me to leave because she couldn't stand the abuse anymore. My job as her mother is to protect her. I was failing to do my job. I'm not going to fail anymore. You cannot let your past mistakes, I get it. You chose to have children with that person. You made a mistake. Making a mistake in the past isn't a reason to continue to make that mistake going forward. So when people say to you, well, you had children with him, you should have thought about it. You're right, you should have. I should have, but I didn't. I was emotionally weak, and it took me the time that it took me to say something. And when you're ready, you need to do something. You need to file a domestic violence restraining order. You need to make an exit plan. And here are some of the things I'm going to tell you. There's free resources. For example, in Solano County, there is an organization called the Solano County Domestic Violence Women Advocates. They will help you file your restraining order. They will help you figure out what you need, and they will help you figure out what kind of burden of proof. You're going to need pictures, emails, text messages, whatever you have from your abuser. You need to be resolved to know that it is not your fault. Domestic violence victims feel like it's their fault. I know that I would get in violent situations and I would actually apologize when he would be violent to me. I didn't want to fight. I was just going to behave myself. I was going to say, I'm sorry, I know it's my fault. I knew inside it wasn't my fault, but I convinced it with myself it was my fault. And I apologized because I just wanted to make it okay. I just wanted everything to be okay. And I lied to myself saying that I was staying in that situation because I cared for my children and I didn't want to tear up my family, until I realized it was messing up my children and it was tearing up my family. So some of the things you need to do as an immediate part of your exit plan: you need to take your children to therapy. They've witnessed abuse. They've either been abused themselves or they've witnessed abuse. They're traumatized. Don't lie to yourself. They're traumatized. They need someone to talk about that with immediately. What's going to happen there is that it's going to create a mandatory report to CPS. Do not be afraid of CPS. When CPS comes, you need to let them know that you are willing to do whatever it takes to protect your children. You're going to have it as documented abuse, and you're going to need that when you go to court. The second thing you need to do is, if your abuser is abusing you, if you have failed to call the police in the past, you need to call the police. If this person does not face the consequences of his actions, he's going to think he can get away with it and do it again. You need to file a police report, and you need to tell the police that you know that it's a mandated report, and they need to put another mandated report in with CPS. You need it documented. CPS is going to talk to your children, and they're going to document that abuse. And what's going to happen is when you go to court, there's going to be what's called child custody mediation. And in child custody mediation, the mediator is going to look at all these documented instances of abuse. They're going to look at all the police reports, and they're going to see that you have a violent person on your hands. And yes, you should have done something sooner. Yes, you should have stopped the abuser from abusing you in front of your children or abusing your children. You didn't, but you're doing something now. And there's a lot to be said for that. The second thing you need to do is you need to follow up with the district attorney's office in your local area. In Solano County, for example, there is the Solano County Witness Victim Advocates. You need to tell them that your abuser needs help. People that abuse women are sick. They think that it's okay. They think that your behavior caused me to act this way. And again, I have to tell you, he acted that way on his own. If he faces consequences such as jail or has to go to a batterer's intervention program or whatever it is, you did not do that to him. His bad behavior did that to himself. And that's the problem with so many domestic violence victims, is that we believe it's our fault and we take on that guilt, but it is not your fault. You need to get out. You need to show your children how it's done. You need to show them that you can thrive after domestic violence. If you have a little boy, do you want your little boy growing up to think that that's an acceptable means of behavior? No. You want him to see his father having to suffer severe consequences for beating the crap out of either him or his spouse, and know that that's not okay and that's not something we tolerate. Same thing for your daughter. You have to show your daughters that this is not acceptable behavior. And again, please, people, stop shaming people. Coming out and talking about violence does not shame anyone. It doesn't. It makes it an open conversation, just the way people are afraid to talk about suicide and people are afraid to talk about mental issues. We need to stop being afraid to talk about things, because the more things come out, the more people feel comfortable with it and they reach out for help. They see you as someone that they can reach to and gives them encouragement that it can be done. And that's, if we don't speak up about it, that's how the cycle of abuse continues. So again, there is no purpose for this vlog other than me just trying to help people. Again, my email is roja360 at gmail.com. If you want to email me, I will do my best to try to help you with a domestic violence situation, and I will probably rant on another time, but this video has gone on 9 minutes. So I don't have too much more to say except for stop shaming people and come out and do something about it. It is never too late to correct your past mistakes. Take care, everybody. Bye.